Well, my name is Frank Frisch, and I've worked here at Chapman for over 34 years. And I have been a member of the biology faculty and more recently the kinesiology faculty. And I've had, I would say, a relatively modest history in anatomy, maybe 12 years or so, 10 years in teaching introductory anatomy courses. So we have 3 anatomage tables that I see at med schools growing. They advertise, wow, we have these new technologies. Well, Chapman has 3 of these tables, very, very expensive. And we have then 6 workstations that are computer for accessing specialized programs. We subscribe to specialized programs so students can learn anatomy through several different ways. At first I was quite against it, and I said, well, the cadavers are so great when your elbows are in a cadaver and you talk about a human body in front of you and their aspirations. They had grandchildren, maybe they had drove cars and saw movies. This was a real person. What a great gift to donate your body so someone else can learn. I thought this was the only way you could really learn anatomy. I have changed my position, and through the efforts of Dean Hill and Ken Sumida, who is chair of the department, we're trying these virtual labs in which the lab has been modernized to not include any animal dissection. For a modest amount of money, we transformed the lab into probably the most modern anatomy lab that I've seen in the Western United States. The power of the computer to be able to manipulate the tissues and isolate and identify, it's significant, and I think this is the way of the future. The pro side of using these anatomage tables is that students can come in anytime. They have access to the lab by virtue of their telephone. But with the programs that we subscribe to, students can call up and they can basically have flashcards and anatomical referencing of a quite powerful nature right in their hand so that they can study when they're ready. Couldn't do that with cadavers. You couldn't have students in there unattended. I think in the half a semester that we've had, I would call it quite successful, and it portends to really solid learning of anatomy for our undergrads, which is our goal. I tell my students that the content is much less important than the strategies that they employ to learn that information. I tell my students that they're going to learn a whole ton of vocabulary and a lot of elements that you may forget, but learning how to do that massive learning, relatively short amount of time, is a skill that's useful well beyond the boundaries of the course. Even though I'm testing on content, the real advantage is in how they're going to learn. And in that regard, I think we hit a home run with the virtual lab. I think the learning and the amount of learning and the processing that students do is every bit as good as when we use cadavers.